way it goes. Just the way it goes. Degrees.
Welcome, college football fans, to week 7 of From Eugene to Tallahassee. I am your boy, Svo, and with me is my partner, Brewhan Luke, the cerebral assassin. Luke, how are you, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. Had a nice weekend. Winding down on a Monday night here after, an interesting Saturday of college football. We could talk more about that.
Yeah, you had a good weekend, though. What'd you do? Anything fun?
Oh, I went to Svo's house. Yeah,
That guy sucks.
Saw some good people there. Got to catch up with our guy Shankster and talk some college football. That was a very
shout out our boy Shankster driving all the way up to hang out with us. I've met Shankster before. Shankster came into the Apple store and hung out, but Shankster came and hung out for 4 hours and just BS with us. We had some cold drinks. We talked sports. Shankster is the man. We love it. Also, we love Brian. I hope Brian is in the comments.
Hey, there he is.
Brian, we hope you feel better. We love you. We miss you. We missed you on Saturday, buddy.
Yeah, definitely miss Brian there. I did not realize that Shankster was going to be there, let alone that he was driving all that way. And then it was great just talking sports and specifically college football and hearing his thoughts on his Boomer Sooner fandom. That was really cool. It was great.
Absolutely. But if you're ready, Luke, let's get into it, right? Let's talk some college football.
Yeah, let's go for it.
And let's start off with our normal segment, game balls and lame balls. Luke, I'm going to be quiet here, and I'm going to let you talk about your game balls and lame balls and why you're giving them out. And then I'll reply and tell you if I agree or if I don't, and then you could do the same thing with me, all right?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, let's do it. So our game balls and lame balls, Luke, you're up.
Okay. Game ball goes to Stanford and head coach Troy Taylor. They were down 29-0 on Friday night. Pac-12 After Dark. You guys have to always tune into Pac-12 After Dark. It's magical every single time. I'm guilty. I had a long day Saturday morning. I had to be at work early, and I was at work all day until about 5 o'clock at night. I went to bed early. I did not watch Pac-12 After Dark because I needed to be level-headed on a Saturday morning. It was 29-0 at halftime. I wake up to take a piss in the middle of the night at 1 in the morning, and all of a sudden, I'm like, what's happening here? I scrolled Twitter really quick. I'm like, is Stanford going to win? And they beat Colorado in double overtime. Now, this isn't anything bashing Colorado. I'm not doing any of that Coach Prime stuff. I'm going to talk any negativity there. This is about Stanford getting a big win in year one of Troy Taylor, who came from Sacramento State with another program that he built from the ground up, to get a win in conference play after looking so bad for a half, to not just check out and say, oh, we're down 29-0, it's over. They came back and absolutely showed that you can never give up in a college football game. It's college football. You're always in it. If it's 34-0, 42-0, you're always going to still be in it as long as you put together the right game plan. So,
yeah.
so
All right.
congrats to Troy Taylor.
Stanford gets a game ball.
Mm-hmm.
Who gets your lane ball for the week, Luke?
That guy in the right-hand corner there, Caleb Williams, man. From Heisman Trophy front runner, favorite, the guy that everybody says it's Caleb Williams Heisman Trophy to lose. He might have just lost it when he played at Notre Dame on Saturday night. Went out, had to deal with Midwest weather and conditions. It was cold, it was rainy, it was windy. It doesn't matter. Guess what? When you go and play in the NFL against real defenses, you're going to have those conditions, Caleb Williams.
Would you say that those conditions were similar to what they might be at, like, I don't know, like a Soldier Field?
Yeah, potential bear weather. And he
bear weather.
Threw 3 picks against a good defense. This is the first test he actually had to face against a team with a respectable defense with Notre Dame. And he, for lack of a better term, he shit the bed. 3 picks after, dude, the Trojans are going to live and die by Caleb Williams because they have nothing else right now to show that they are worthy of anything. Pac-12 contender, not really, let alone a playoff contender. I mean, they just got to, I don't know. The USC football, to me, is kind of a mess right now.
So I'm going to give another lane ball in that game, if that's okay. This is going to be an add-on to that game. I want to give a lane ball to Notre Dame fans for storming the field and trolling Caleb Williams after the game, asking about his fingernail polish and his painting his nails. Who gives a shit? You just won. It was a big win. You beat an undefeated USC team. Yeah, and I know it's a rivalry game, but come on, man, be better than that.
Of all the things you're gonna trash talk Caleb Williams about, you pick his fingernail polish.
It's so stupid.
Like,
it's so stupid.
I guess in a way they could have said a lot worse stuff, and they went a route that could be a little bit of harmlessness. But like, dude, you're like, you could have said anything there. You picked the fingernail polish game. Like,
be better than that.
They also stormed the field. If
they
you
did.
Felt like you're a better team than USC, then you should not be storming the field. Like,
right? Act like you've been there before. I know it's an old thing, but like, come on, man. You don't storm the field for a game like that.
Not if you're Notre Dame football with all the high and mighty expectations and all the national championships you've won in a pseudo rivalry game here with USC. Like, you were at home and you were favored at home to beat USC. I did not know about them storming the field for this. Holy smokes, that's a lame ball.
That's absolutely a lame ball.
I had no idea. Fuck that.
All right. Those are good. Those are 2 good game balls and lame balls. I got two as well, Luke. Mm-hmm. And we've added visual representations for all these. So my lame ball is Jimbo Fisher. Jimbo Fisher is owed $73 million in a contract buyout, and he's going to get every fucking red cent of that buyout. And Kevin Sumlin had a better record through the same amount of time at Texas A&M as Jimbo Fisher. There was something on the internet that said it was a picture of a beach, and there was only one set of footprints in the sand. And it said, Jimbo Fisher, why is there only one set of footprints? And Jameis Winston said, because I carried you to a national championship, and you shouldn't be here, right? And he absolutely did. Jimbo Fisher, without a quarterback, is an absolutely mediocre head football coach and a fantastic recruiter. Kind of like the guy that used to be an assistant for Jimbo, and he went on to coach I think he was the head coach at Minnesota for a little bit, Tim Brewster.
Oh, yeah.
Tim Brewster was an excellent recruiter. He went to Colorado. I think he's in Colorado recruiting for those guys.
That does sound familiar. I know he was the former Minnesota head coach. I did not know he was a Jimbo guy.
He was a Jimbo guy. He recruited at Florida State. He went to Minnesota. He recruits really well. He's in Colorado now. He kind of smelled the writing on the wall at A&M, and dipped to Colorado. And they recruit really well, but they can't coach for shit. Yeah, so Jimbo, you get a lane ball, and your A&M squad sucks. They suck.
They have no direction. They had all the nightmares last year with all those kids getting arrested, and now this year still have just as good of a recruiting class, just as much talent, and they can't figure out anything there. Like, I don't know the direction that you take with Texas A&M and Jimbo Fisher, but it sounds like the writing's on the wall that he is going to be on his way out.
I mean, those pockets in College Station are deep. That's from oil money, and they're deep. And if they're going to buy him out, and they're going to move on to the next big hire.
Well, you look at it. You look at the SEC right now. Alabama's better than Texas A&M. Ole Miss is ahead of Texas A&M. Tennessee is better than Texas A&M. Who knows? Maybe Auburn will jump ahead of them in a couple of years with Hugh Freeze. Florida was the jury's still out on our guy Billy Napier.
Sunbelt Billy.
I mean, maybe Jimbo Fisher will become Sunbelt Jimbo.
He may. So Jimbo, you get a lane ball, bro. Like, you suck. Man, I'm not even mad anymore. Like, I'm just disappointed. Like, I was upset when you left Florida State, the way you left Florida State, but now I'm just disappointed. If you didn't have, do you know every single player on that 2013, 2014 roster was drafted into the NFL?
Wait, really?
Yeah. If you look at it, every single player was drafted. Now, they didn't all stick, and there were some that were better than others, but they were all drafted, right?
That's a good roster there.
It was a fantastic roster, and it was a prolific offense. But if you don't have everything perfect for Jimbo, he's an absolutely mediocre head coach.
Yeah.
And then my game ball, dude. This is a hot take, but Marvin Harrison Jr. is not the best wide receiver in college football this year.
That's too hot of a take. That's too hot of a take.
Keon Coleman from Florida State is a better, not a better, but he is producing more than Marvin Harrison Jr. right now, and he is the best wide receiver in college football.
No.
Yes. No, he absolutely is.
No, he's not.
He absolutely is.
Isn't he not even the leading receiver on Florida State? Their leading receiver was out with an injury this week.
Johnny Wilson has more yards, but go look at productivity, touchdown scored. Keon Coleman is electric, my friend. I put a picture up for visual representation here, but this is the one-handed grab that Keon had. He has had multiple highlight reels, like he jumped that defender and hurdled them. He is absolutely the most electric wide receiver in college football this year. And Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be a higher draft pick. This is not saying that at all, right? But right now in college football, Keon Coleman is fucking electric. He is Peter Warrick-esque.
This is such a homer. This is such a homer play here.
It absolutely
is. Such a hardcore
it
homer
absolutely
play.
is.
This is terrible.
It absolutely is a homer play. But I challenge you to go watch Keon Coleman highlights and go watch Marvin Harrison Jr. highlights. He gets a game ball for his performance against Syracuse this week. Absolutely unreal. With the 93 national championship team on the sidelines, minus the great Bobby Bowden.
And Danny
went out and he
not
fucking
there.
performed. He performed. He's fantastic. Anybody will tell you that Keon Coleman is performing at another level right now.
He's performing at another level, but you can't say that he is a better wide receiver than Marvin Harrison Jr.
I'm telling you now.
You can say that as a Florida State fan, but then I could go and say, oh, yeah, Troy Franklin is, but he's not. That's, even as an Oregon fan, I'm not going to say Troy Franklin is better than Keon Coleman or Marvin Harrison Jr. Or what about Emeka Ebukwa, Ohio State's number 2 wide receiver? Like, man, that's a homer pick. It's a hardcore homer pick. You can give him the game ball all you want, but I'm telling you right now that is an inaccurate hot take.
It is not inaccurate at all, my friend. I want to pull something up here. Give me a second here. I'm going to pull something up here, and I want to see what we got. So let's go to Ohio State. Let me go to the Buckeyes. He's also more durable. He is also more durable.
You know what I'm going to look up right now?
So Marvin Harrison Jr., 31 receptions, 604 yards, 5 touchdowns. So he's got Keon Coleman in receiving yards. He doesn't have him in touchdowns, and he doesn't have him in electrifying plays. I'm sorry, bro.
He probably does not have him in touchdowns because they spread it out more to their other receivers. Keon Coleman is a hot red zone target. I'll give you that. He is. He's probably the go-to in the red zone for
Yeah, but
getting
they're not
six for
even
you.
like a lot of his touchdowns aren't even like red zone targets. It's just like chuck it up there and go make a play like Randy Moss style, dude. I'm telling you, Luke, we can continue this conversation, but this is not as hot of a take as you think.
I cannot find any odds for the Bolitnikoff Award currently. That's what I was looking for, and I will find it. Hopefully, I can find it by the end of this podcast. But there's got to be a Bolitnikoff Award odds. I want to see what Keon Coleman's odds
Yump,
are.
Yump, I know you're busting balls, but I'm telling you, this is not as hot of a take as you think it is. Like, this is not as hot of a take. This could be a legit thing.
I need to find the Bolitnikoff Award odds because Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be the favorite. Maybe somebody in the comments could find the Bolitnikoff Award odds because I want to see where Keon Coleman is, and he'll be up there. I cannot find him on DraftKings. They do not have that right now. They might have it on Caesars. They might have it on FanDuel. I'm curious to see what those numbers are.
We'll find out. Let's get into our AP top 25. You cool with that, Luke?
Yep.
There's no Illini talking here, Yump. Sorry about that, buddy.
Not yet.
Oh, do you got something planned?
No, I don't have any Illini talk planned for this
All
week.
right. So our AP top 25, coming in at number 25, we have the UCLA Bruins. They lost actually this week to Oregon State. And still remain to stay in the top 25.
It's a Pac-12 schedule. They deserve to stay in the top 25 after losing at Oregon State. Nobody has been winning at Oregon State and Corvallis in the last 2 years. So, yeah, they stay in the top 25.
I agree. Right. Next week they have Stanford. So Stanford comes in to play UCLA. Actually, I think they travel to the Valley to play Stanford. So. But yeah, we have UCLA coming in at 25. We have a re-entry into the top 25 at 24. In the battle of punts, we have the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Yes. I saw somebody sent this to me earlier today, and now I got to find it. Speaking of the Iowa Hawkeyes, Week 8 Heisman watch: Michael Penix, Dylan Gabriel, J.J. McCarthy, and Hawkeyes punter Tory Taylor.
Somewhere, I think it's Bud Elliott. We talk about Bud Elliott a lot on the show, but Bud Elliott tweeted out, or he's doing this season-long thing where there's a clause in the contract of Iowa's head coach that they need to average something like 24 points a game for their offensive coordinator to stay on. Yeah, and they're like, it's bizarre. I don't know what
he's got to get 24 points a game, and then I don't know if it's that he gets fired, but it's like incentives based with his clause in his contract, which is still hilarious because it's Brian Ferentz, which is head coach's son.
It's his son.
It's a coordinator. And yeah, Bud has a good graphic every week. The Sickles Committee has a good graphic every week about it. He's behind schedule.
He is significantly behind schedule, and I have the graphic right. So they need to score 325 points. That would give them the average that they need. They needed 24 points at Wisconsin. They got 15. They're not going to hit this goal, and Ferentz is going to be gone. Brian.
Yeah, Brian will be gone, and maybe Kirk will retire. I don't know. Are you going to fire your son?
You have to, dude. Like, you have to at this point, don't you?
I guess that's going to be an awkward. Thanksgiving they'll be playing. That's going to be an awkward Christmas party.
It is. So Iowa this week. What was the score of that game, Luke?
It was very low. I don't remember the score without looking.
It was 15-6 Iowa.
That was the game. I had Washington and Oregon on TV1, which was just a back and forth shootout, and then I had Iowa, Wisconsin on TV2. It was just outstanding. Two completely different sports.
Tory Taylor, Iowa's punter, had 10 punts for 506 yards. 6 of them landed inside the 20, and his longest punt was 64 yards.
First round draft pick right there.
506 yards of punting yards. It's insane. And they beat a Wisconsin team that is not as good as everybody said they were going to be.
Including myself.
Including Luke. It's okay.
We
all are wrong about some things.
They could still get over 8.5 wins, which I had them in one of my futures plays to begin the year. They can lose one more game, which they're going to lose to Ohio State, but the rest of the games they have to win in order to be a 9-win team. So that'll be interesting. I'm watching every Wisconsin game very closely because of that futures play.
Because of that bet.
Yeah, and that cost me. That Iowa game fucking hurt. Anyways.
Coming in at number 23, we have another re-entry into the AP Top 25. The Tulane Green Wave, who got a 31-21 W over Memphis. They scored the go-ahead touchdown with like 5 seconds left in the fourth quarter, and they came from 10 points down to beat Memphis.
Yeah, Michael Pratt is healthy for Tulane finally. You could see that he's getting things going for the Green Wave.
19 pass attempts for 259 yards and 1 touchdown. Mekhi Hughes had 26 carries for 130 yards. And 1 touchdown. So they ran the ball. Pratt did his thing. They beat Memphis. Did you see the dirty play that the Memphis player, when he...
I did not.
Yeah.
That was a Friday night game, too.
That was a Friday night game. That was the 13th. But, yeah, Tulane back in the top 25.
Yeah, they should stay there. They should be able to hang. The concerning thing for Tulane is their defense. Defense is... been underperforming in every game, but they've been able to pull off the wins. So see how things play out down the stretch here for them.
We have a new entry into the AP Top 25. Coming in with their first entry is Air Force Academy, the Falcons, right?
That's right.
They beat Wyoming 34-27, and they are still undefeated at 6-0.
Yeah, I mean, that was a big win for them against a good Wyoming team. Tough to go play at Air Force and win in the, I don't know, they're not the Rocky Mountains there. I don't know what mountains they are, but it's in the higher altitude in Air Force, wherever that is. Where the fuck is Air Force Station? Somewhere in Colorado, right?
Yeah, I think Fort Collins. I don't know.
No,
that's Colorado State. So I just got a DM from Magnificent Stan, Brian. Yep. The last Bolitnikoff odds were from October 5th, and there are 5 receivers in this. And I guarantee you these odds have been updated.
Sure.
But it was Marvin Harrison Jr., Luther Burden, Malik Neighbors, Troy Franklin, and who's the wide receiver from Washington?
Roma Dunze. That's your winner right there. That
maybe
Roma Dunze is the winner.
But I promise you these odds have been updated. They have, Luke.
They have been. I mean, Troy Franklin, like I said, he belongs up there. Keon Coleman is probably going to be in the mix. But if Roma,
so my claim isn't as far-fetched as it seems.
He's not the best wide receiver in the country.
You're fucking high,
Roma Dunze is definitely better than Keon Coleman.
You are so high, dude.
No, I'm not. Did you watch that game against Oregon?
Did you watch any of Keon Coleman's games?
Yes, I've watched a lot of Keon
Coleman.
You're
a liar.
Rome Dunze is better than Keon Coleman.
Cap, bro. Go look at any mock draft, and he's not even in the first round in a mock draft. He is not better than
We're
Keon
talking
Coleman.
the best college football wide receiver.
I'm telling you, though.
Roma Dunze is ranked ahead.
No
he
way.
might be the favorite for the Bolitnikoff, actually.
I'm going to get... Oh, my God. All right. Anyways, let's go. Let's move on. Louisville Cardinal. Staying in the top 25, even with a loss this week, Luke?
Yeah, they had a very bad loss to the Pitt Panthers.
Yeah,
very bad loss.
Pitt sucks.
But this is where I think Louisville got a little caught off guard. They had the huge win against Notre Dame last week and got caught up in the letdown game against a Pitt team that has extremely underperformed. So maybe this is the Pitt Panther team that people thought preseason we were going to see, and they finally put it together against Louisville.
Maybe, but it was a bad loss against Pitt, 38-21 on Saturday.
Yeah, they no longer belong anywhere near the top 10.
No. their quarterback, Jack Plummer, threw for a lot of yards, but he also threw for 2 touchdowns or 2 interceptions. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're gonna have to. He's gonna have big yardage games when he's chasing.
Yeah. Louisville is off this week, and then they play Duke on the 28th.
That'll be fun.
That should
Riley
be fun.
Leonard.
Depending on
hopefully Riley Leonard's back.
Riley won't be back this week, but we'll talk a little bit more about that coming up.
Yep.
All right, what do we got next, Luke? We got the Mizzou Tigers, my friend. The Mizzou Tigers.
I love this team.
Do you?
I love watching Brady Cook. I love watching Luther Burden. I am so happy to see Eli Drinkwitz build this program up after his success at Appalachian State and turn this program around. This is a fun team to watch every week. I love
Mizzou snuck out a win this week against Kentucky, a ranked Kentucky team, 38-21. I wouldn't call it a sneak win, but they beat them pretty handily. Brady Cook. Like, what can you say about Brady Cook? Like, not a real spectacular game, but just got it done, and their defense just looked really good.
That's the thing. The Missouri defense has been the hype the last year or two with this program, and now they've got the offensive tools to go with it. They got a good line. They're putting some things together. I also think that people got fooled by Kentucky when they beat Florida, and Kentucky's reverting back to what they were before the Florida game. So,
Florida's terrible. Kentucky didn't really prove anything to anybody by beating Florida. Florida was just ranked because they had a win, right? They had a fluke win against Tennessee. They came in prepared, and Tennessee wasn't. But no, I think that's a fair assessment.
Mizzou's got a big game coming up. I don't think this weekend, but 2 weeks from now will be a fun one. So,
coming in after Mizzou, we have the Louisiana State Tigers. Good Lord, Luke, is this offense insane?
The offense is insane. The defense is a different kind of insane.
It really is. But let's talk about – I want to talk about Jaden Daniels, and I want to talk about Johnny Wilson, right? The wide receiver at Florida State and the quarterback at LSU. They were both on an Arizona State roster that Herm Edwards was the coach of, and they couldn't fucking score a point. So what does that tell you about why they moved to Dillingham and why Edwards is now not a coach in college football?
Yeah. I mean,
like, you had a quarterback that, like, if Daniels is coming back next year, right? He's not going to enter the draft.
We will see. We'll see how the entire season plays out.
He's got to be. Well, yeah. So, like, the only thing I would say would be, does he want to leave Brian Kelly's bullshit?
He might. That might be part of it.
Yeah.
He also might, if he has a good bowl game, whatever bowl game they go to, if he decides to play in that bowl game and he has a baller-ass game and just plays the best game of his season, he's going to go out on a high note and his stock will be at his all-time high. He could definitely enter the draft. It's
just going to be hard because the quarterback, like, there's 3 or 4 quarterbacks, like, that are going to be, like, you know, first, second, and third round picks. Like you're going to go Caleb Williams. You're going to go Drake May. You're going to go Bo Nix. Everything that I'm reading about, like, draft rankings, Shedeur Sanders is a first round pick, like, from what I'm reading. And then, like, you're going to have to ball out. And then but, like, if you come back, you're going to be a favorite to win the Heisman and fucking be really, really good.
Yeah,
if Brian Kelly can fix that fucking defense.
There's a lot of issues at LSU. I could say that. You could tell bad. There's some problems there. Maybe Jaden Daniels is like, okay, I came back this year. I don't know. I'm not going to do this again.
But if he transfers now with the transfer portal, because he's already transferred once, doesn't he have to wait a year?
I'm not sure on that. I don't think he would transfer out. I think it's a matter of, is LSU going to give him enough NIL money to say, I'm going to stay no matter what?
Or you could, if he graduates like early, he could go as a graduate transfer and not have to sit out.
I think he's going to enter the draft.
Okay.
I think this is it.
LSU beat Auburn 48-18. Daniels was 20 for 27 for 325 yards with 3 touchdowns. Like that offense is just firing on all cylinders.
Taking advantage of a major rebuild in Auburn with Hugh Freeze.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Luke, take it away and talk about the next team in the rankings.
I think I already touched base on that with Caleb Williams. I mean, this is I think last week I said this is the worst undefeated team left. This is probably the worst one-loss team left out of teams that have one loss now. Like I don't see where they go. They're going to play. I know they're playing Utah this weekend. Is that I think?
Yes.
So they play Utah this weekend at USC. I think they're going to win that game. But Utah went 2-0 against them last year. Lincoln Riley, you've got some problems. Caleb Williams, what are you going to do to answer what happened this past Saturday in South Bend? What's the defense going to do against Utah? Utah's offense is atrocious. And how are they going to handle a terrible Utah defense or Utah offense? Is USC's defense going to magically be cured because they're playing a terrible Utah offense? I don't think so. Like, and then are people going to say, "Oh, USC's defense is fixed; they're cured"? No, you play fucking Utah's offense. Like, I'm intrigued to see how that game plays out. I think they're going to win that game, but the rest of their schedule is not encouraging.
It's not.
They are probably a 3-loss team, maybe 4.
So, like, looking at, they have Utah. And then they have a gimme game with Cal, and then Washington, Oregon, and UCLA in the rivalry week.
Yeah.
Like after Cal, fuck, dude. Like you might have 4 losses. You may have 5 losses.
Oh, I'm so excited to watch USC come to Eugene live and in person from Eugene, Oregon. That'll be so fun. Hopefully
you're gonna be there. That's exciting.
Hopefully they boat race them, but that's a couple weeks from now. We could talk about
hey,
that.
Don't count your chickens, all right? Let's talk about the next team in the AP Top 25, the Tennessee Vols. They beat Texas A&M 20-13. It wasn't a pretty win. But we talked about Texas A&M already. But D. Williams returned the go-ahead punt for a touchdown, and Tennessee beat Texas A&M by 7. What did Joe Milton only threw for 100 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick? They miss Hendon Hooker.
They do.
They do.
I thought Joe Milton would have been a little bit better. You know, he was a starter last year before he got injured, and Hendon Hooker took over. And I thought, okay, he's been around. He knows the offense. He's got the hell of an arm.
Yeah.
Transferred from Michigan into the SEC. He's going to be okay. They miss their receivers, too. Who else did they have? They had Hendon Hooker, and then they had the receiver that got drafted. Where's Joey P when we need him? Where's they lost a lot on offense. You know, they lost a lot from the coaching staff, too, that went and got promotions and other jobs elsewhere after the successful season that they had. I think Tennessee in the long run is going to be just fine. But you could see it's not the same Tennessee as last year. But we'll talk about them soon.
What's that?
We're gonna talk about them a little bit later too, right?
Yeah, they got a game this week.
Yeah.
All right, coming in at number 16, we have the Duke Blue Devils. They beat up on North Carolina State 24-3. Still no Riley Leonard, but you know they keep winning. The only loss on that record is that Notre Dame loss. I'm sorry. Why am I having a brain for? Not that Notre Dame loss. That Notre Dame loss. I'm sorry. That's their only loss on that record. That team is rolling, man.
I can't believe how bad they beat NC State without Riley Leonard. That their defense. It's the defense, man.
Their defense is good.
You know, they got playmakers on offense, but it's the Riley Leonard show. Like that, he's the guy on that team. So that's
Duke's got a game this week, my friend.
They've got a game.
Duke's got a game this week, my friend. Sold out, 85,000 people. Tallahassee, Florida, 7:30 kickoff. Duke, Florida State. Let's fucking go. Let's go.
All right, we'll have to talk about that one soon.
Oh, I can't wait. Let's keep it moving. Notre Dame with the big win, Luke. We already talked about it. We don't need to beat a dead horse, right?
So Notre Dame's ranked what now? What number are we at here?
Notre Dame is the 15th ranked team.
Okay, that's about right. two-loss team. They beat an undefeated team. That undefeated team is their resume at the end of the season is not going to help Notre Dame. But they took advantage of cold, windy, rainy weather in the Midwest against USC and Caleb Williams. And
You have to.
hats off to their defense there. That's about all the nice things I could say about Notre Dame in one podcast.
Well, yeah, right. We've reached our quota of nice things to say. Their helmets are shiny. Their helmets are shiny. Right. We have Utah coming in next.
I don't understand why they're ranked as high still. They're Iowa, but in the Pac-12. I don't understand. Like
they beat Cal 34-14.
So what?
No, I hear you.
Yeah,
I hear you.
They're right. You know what they're doing? They're riding their preseason ranking and their hype because they have not had a very difficult schedule yet. Their one loss is to Oregon State at Oregon State. Other than that, on their schedule, like they beat Florida week 1 again, but that was at home at Utah week 1, tough place to play, and Florida sucks. I mean, they got ranked very high in the preseason. They still only have one loss, so that's why they are there. You could I would put Notre Dame ahead of Utah if we're being honest. I mean,
they also have played this entire season without the person that was supposed to be QB1. 5-1 without QB1. I'm just saying, like, it's still impressive to come in with your quarterback that wasn't supposed to be there, and do your thing. So no, but 5-1 is not bad. And then if another win this weekend against the USC team will be another quality win.
They're not going to beat USC though.
We'll see.
I'm telling you right now, they're not going to beat USC. The USC's coming off a loss, and they're going back to, what's the Coliseum? They're going back to the Coliseum. They're going to get a win.
Luke, we got Brian in the we had Yump in the comments earlier trying to fuck with me about FSU, and now Brian's in the comments talking about like how Philly's beating up your D-backs 3-0.
Yeah, I see that, and I have a futures bet on the Phillies to win the World Series from August. So my bank account would be okay with it. My heart would not be okay with it.
All right. I got you. I honestly, like, we're going to have just a little baseball talk here. I'm rooting for the Rangers to win the whole thing.
Okay.
I don't dislike the Rangers. I don't like the Rangers. I don't dislike them, but I fucking hate the Astros.
Yeah, that's a fair statement.
Yeah. All right. Ole Miss, they had a bye week. They still stay in here at 13. What do we got next? They have Vanderbilt next week. Or they have Auburn next week. Should be a win for them, but you never know. It's the SEC.
I'm waiting for Ole Miss to lose a game they should have won. That's going to happen somewhere. But
yeah, I gotcha. We have Oregon State coming in next. We already talked about their win over why am I having a brain fart, Luke?
UCLA.
They beat UCLA. DJ Uiagalelei.
There it is.
He had a decent game. You know, it wasn't anything great, but they won. And you said they're hard to beat at home.
They haven't lost at home in over 2 years, and the offense looks a lot better at home. When they go on the road, it's a weird team, but they take advantage of that home field. UCLA's defense up until this point had been very impressive, and they shit the bed. Corvallis is not. It's not an easy place to win a football game.
Yeah. Up next, we have the Alabama Crimson Tide. They snuck out a win over Arkansas, 24-21. They still don't really have a quarterback, Luke. Milroy looked okay, 10 for 21, 238 yards, but I bet you a lot of those yards came on little dumps and dinks and very Justin Fields-like, if you will.
Yeah, they're taking advantage of a fairly weak schedule right now. I mean, the SEC is a little bit overrated this year.
Oh, don't tell that to SEC fans.
The SEC is a little bit overrated this year.
I would agree.
See it. I mean, they're taking advantage of the schedule. They're doing what they need. They are kind of right there in the mix to do just enough to get to the SEC championship game, and then from there, I think they get their doors blown off by Georgia. So
I don't disagree with you. Let's get into my second favorite team in the ACC. You ready for it? The North Carolina Tar Heels. And they're not my second favorite team in the ACC because they're North Carolina. They're my second favorite team in the ACC because they played Miami this week. And they beat Miami 41-31. Miami in a little bit of trouble because Tyler Van Dyke got hurt.
Oh, did he?
He did. And Mario refused to talk about it at the press conference today. So they might be without QB1 for a little bit. The last time that Tyler Van Dyke went down was last year when Florida State went into Miami. And they had to go to like a true freshman quarterback, and it just wasn't good. So if TVD is down for any time, they're going to hurt. But this is not about Miami. This is about North Carolina. Drake May. Drake May was 17 for 33 with 273 yards, but 4 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns. They also had 235 yards rushing on the ground. Drake May is starting to look like the Drake May week in and week out that we thought he was going to be at the beginning of the season.
This is they wouldn't play Florida State until the ACC championship.
Yeah,
game,
we
right?
don't have UNC on the schedule till the ACC championship, possibly.
Oh, that game would be so much fun.
That game would be good. And this is the team that scares me in the ACC.
Well, and they played in the ACC championship game last year. Is that correct? Or
No.
was it? It
No,
was
it was Clemson.
Well, who did Clemson play last year in the ACC championship game? Was it not Clemson, North Carolina?
It might have been. No, it might have been.
I know who North Carolina played in their bowl game because we did a playback of that against Oregon.
I remember.
But not just Drake May. He got Mac Brown and all of them. The NCAA did the right thing and reinstated Tez Walker. That's huge for this team in the depth.
And
wide
now
receiver.
they need to do the same fucking thing with Daryl Jackson in Tallahassee. He moved closer to home to help his sick mother. His mother has cancer.
Yeah.
And they denied his transfer. And if they did the same thing for Tez Walker, I'm not taking anything away. Tez Walker deserves it, but so does Daryl Jackson. NCAA, get your head out of your fucking ass.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about Daryl Jackson. I only followed the Tez Walker story because that seemed to get a lot more discussion because I think he had already played in the game or something. There's something going on. He had played and he'd been on the team and like he transferred. I don't know. There's something to it there with the storyline about why it got so much national attention. But the guy's a baller and it just adds to that wide receiver room.
He really is. He he only had two catches for 19 yards, but having him on the field stretches the defense.
Mm-hmm.
And then Omarion Hampton had 24 catches for 197 yards on the opposite side of him.
My God.
So no, he's a game changer. But UNC beating Miami, knocking Miami down to 2 losses after that Georgia Tech loss. So yeah, now we get into the fun stuff. You ready, Luke?
Yeah, let's go. Okay.
I'm gonna let you take this one, my friend.
All right. So I was pretty fired up Saturday night at your house, as you know.
I remember.
Losing to a rival stings. It always stings. It doesn't matter if you're 2 unranked teams or if you're 2 teams in the top 10. It's a fucking rivalry game, and you got beat. They lost. Now, that being said, having a little bit more time to break things down and look at this game in more detail, Oregon did everything right except for those decisions by Coach Lanning. I also will say this. Coach Lanning has done this in the past, like gone with some big risk plays, and it's worked. Look against Colorado. He went and did a fake punt from their own 17-yard line against Colorado. Can you imagine if that play did not work out, how Colorado would suddenly maybe be back in that game? This time it didn't work out. He went 0 for 3 in he had 2 times where the ball was inside the 5-yard line on Washington's 5. Once before half, once in the third quarter. Both times they couldn't convert on fourth down. To win the game, they were marching down the field. They could have punted and pinned them back deep and made Michael Penix drive down the entire field. He felt so confident with the look that he saw that he said, we're going to go for it. That's what Dan Lanning does. It's kind of an Oregon thing. Chip Kelly did this a lot also, if people could remember that far back. And it didn't work out. He had a decision to make last year to win the game against Washington. Punt or go for it on Oregon's side of the ball. He went for it on fourth down. All he had to do was punt and then let his defense get a stop. There was Washington. Washington got a stop on fourth down, and then they kicked the game-winning field goal last year. He didn't learn from last year. I disagree, Brian S. It's not a terrible move. If one of those three plays that did not convert works out, Oregon wins the game. He had three opportunities to get ahead and win this game. The last one was maybe not the best play call. Going for it, I don't think was a terrible decision. It's not as bad of a decision as I thought originally on Saturday night. It's not as bad of a decision as the national media might be exposing it to, because if he converts on one of those three, Oregon looks good and they win that game. And we're talking about Bo Nix and Oregon being a front runner for the college football playoff. And we're talking about how great of a decision that was by Dan Lanning, because he saw something in the alignment that helped. But instead, we're talking about how Oregon lost because they beat themselves there. They just did not execute in those situations. Dan Lanning put it all on him. Good for him. It was his call. It was his decision. It didn't work out. He's not putting the blame on any of the players and saying
he didn't Mario Cristobal it at all.
He said it was all on him. He owned it. He said, those are my calls. I made those calls. He believed in his players. He believed in his offense that they would get it done. You know, big risk. It didn't work out. Hey, and guess what else? Like I said, I don't think the better team won that game. They had the chance to beat Washington 3 different times, if not more. If you take out those other times, they were the team. They were the better team on that day, and they just could not execute on those play calls on the 3 different occasions. I mean, their one loss now is to Washington. If they run the table, and so does Washington, guess what? We got a Friday night Pac-12 championship game from Vegas where maybe we'll be doing a playback, and the result will be a lot different with Oregon.
Fuck that. Let's go.
With Oregon winning the Pac-12 championship game, then you've got a one-loss Oregon team that should be punching a ticket to the college football playoff, with one loss being the Pac-12 champion. Because if you are the Pac-12 champion this year, you goddamn know that they are going to put the Pac-12 champion in the college football playoff, because that's the best conference in the country this year. And I'll go one further. If Oregon beats Washington in the Pac-12 championship game, and Washington's only loss is to Oregon, you might get 2 Pac-12 teams in the college football playoff. We'll see how the rest of the schedule plays out, but it's not out of the possibility to get 2 Pac-12 teams in the college football playoff as part of the Pac-12 farewell tour.
So let's talk about this, right? So let's just say Georgia goes undefeated and wins the SEC. Georgia gets a spot, right?
Yes.
Let's say Michigan runs the tables and they're undefeated. Michigan gets a spot.
Mm-hmm.
If Michigan does it, then Ohio State's out, because that means they've beaten Ohio State or whatever. They beat whoever they needed to beat. And that moves Florida State up to 3. Let's say Florida State runs the tables and they win the ACC. Florida State's in.
Florida State right now, as an undefeated ACC champion, would be in.
Yeah. So while I agree with you, if Oregon beats Washington, they punch their ticket to the college football playoff. But then Oklahoma's on the outside looking in.
If you have a one-loss Oklahoma and a one-loss Washington, you put in Washington because of strength of schedule.
Okay.
I mean,
I think they're going to the Barbizon in the Boner Bowl, like Brian says. But you fucking asshole.
Oh man.
Oh man, let's talk about Oregon's playmakers real quick.
Yeah.
Bo Nix, 33 for 44, 337 yards, 2 touchdowns. Bucky Irving, 22 carries for 127 yards and a touchdown.
Hillcrest.
What's that?
Hillcrest High School.
Yes. Troy Franklin, 8 receptions, 154 yards, 1 touchdown. Like their playmakers played. It's just, shit happens, man. Like it's just the way,
it's just the way the game played out.
It's just the way the game played out, man. You can't take anything away from Oregon.
And they're not outside of the top 10. They're still inside the top 10.
They're are
continue to move up the rankings as long as they continue to stack wins. They had a great game plan. They just ran the ball essentially almost the entire first half, knowing how strong their line was, which opened up the playbook in the second half. Bo Nix really did not air it out until the second half. Like it was all second half plays with the deep ball. He did not. I think he only had like 60 or 70 passing yards with like a few minutes to go in the first half. This was all a second half playbook for Bo Nix.
Yep.
They had a great game plan. They kicked the shit out of Washington in the second half. They just the risk of going for it in those situations. Like some of the analytics even said 4th and 2, you go for it there. Like the analytics were saying go for it. So if you want to say that was a terrible decision by Dan Lanning, you're saying that you hate analytics too. So
I do hate analytics.
Some people do.
Give me that old school mentality. I'm just fucking with you. That was a White Sox Twitter inside joke that only some people will get.
Yeah.
All right, we got Texas. Texas had a bye week to lick their wounds after that loss to Oklahoma. They play Houston next, so big matchup for the Longhorns against fucking Houston. Sorry. And then we get into Penn State. Luke, what do you got, Penn State?
They did not look ahead to the upcoming week.
They did not.
It focused on this week.
It was fucking 63-0 over Massachusetts. I'm not going to get too much into a game against fucking UMass. Like
I thought they might have taken it easy and decided to scale back, but they're doing what a lot of these teams need to do when there's going to be some people jumbled potentially.
Nope. And there could be a big shakeup in the top 4 this week. We'll get into that in a few minutes because that's a game of the week. We have the Oklahoma Sooners up next. Oklahoma still a bye week. They had a bye week. They play fucking UCF next week. So
they should beat UCF.
They should beat UCF. And they don't have a game on the schedule that looks tough at all until the Big 12 championship.
Their schedule's that week until then.
It's that week, right? It's UCF, it's Kansas, it's Oklahoma State, it's West Virginia, BYU, and TCU.
Okay, so you got the rivalry game with Oklahoma State.
Right. Who's not very good this year.
TCU has not looked the same as the team as last year. I got to look at those games as we get closer and see the full body of work from these teams. But right now, they should win those games, yeah.
Washington, we talked a lot about the Washington-Oregon game. I do think that if we're going to talk about the Washington-Oregon game, that we have to talk about Michael Penix Jr. I know that we have a whole segment on this at the end of it, but he's got to be the favorite for the Heisman right now. Like, he has to be.
He is the favorite. He is minus 125 on DraftKings.
22 for 22, 37, 302 yards, 4 touchdowns. He had 1 pick, but picks are going to happen.
Especially against a good defense. That happens.
I'm sorry, Yumper. I don't know if Yumper is watching, but he just sent me a text message that just fucking made me pee myself a little bit. I'll share it with you here in a minute, Luke.
Okay.
I only have that up because I have stats on my phone. But Michael Penix Jr. looked unreal, man. Like, like he's the favorite for the Heisman.
He's the favorite. Like I said, he's minus 125 on DraftKings. But fuck Washington. They stole a win. And they
a win is a win, my friend. I'm sorry.
They fucking stole that win. That was a gift.
I don't have a horse in this race. I do not have a horse in this race, Luke, but it was a win.
It was a
It was
gift.
a win.
It was a
Okay.
gift. Dan Lanning gave him a gift.
Okay.
Because you know what? You know what else Dan Lanning's probably thinking? He probably is thinking, big picture, we fucking win this game and the Pac-12 championship, that we're really in fucking good shape. But the worst case scenario, we lose this game, run the table, and then beat Washington. We're still in the playoff. So he's not going to make those risks in a Pac-12 championship game when it comes to decision making. I don't think. But he might.
He might not. He might not. At number 4, we have the Florida State Seminoles. FSU beat the brakes out of Syracuse team, 41-3. Jordan Travis had another great game, 23 for 37, 284 yards, 1 touchdown. The story of the game, once again, is FSU's ability to run the ball. Lawrence Toafili, Trey Benson, CJ Campbell, Keziah Holmes all got in on the action. Keon Coleman, 9 receptions, 140 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 punt return. And the true freshman, 5-star recruit, Hakeem Williams, with an absolute fucking 44-yard, beautiful screen pass for a touchdown from our backup, Tate Rodemaker. Florida State's got a big game on Saturday. I wish that we could do playback for it, but Duke comes into Tallahassee at Doak for evening game. Florida State opens up at 14-point favorites.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that actual game coming up soon. I just don't think Keon Coleman's better than Roma Dunze or Marvin Harrison Jr.
That's because you're fucking dumb. That's all that is. I'm going to use the hell out of it to tag fucking like Jeff Cameron and CJ Wilson, and I'm going to get them to tear you a new one, Luke.
They cannot possibly think that Keon Coleman is better than Roma Dunze and Marvin Harrison Jr. There's no way.
I'm telling you. What do we got next? We have Ohio State. I thought Ohio State was going to have a trap game, but they did not. They put a beating on Purdue. I don't know where it was. Someone said that like Purdue was primed for an upset here. They did not. 41-7. Kyle McCord, 16 for 28, 276 yards, 3 touchdowns. Marvin Harrison, 6 receptions, 105 yards, 1 touchdown. Yeah, Purdue, and then they have Penn State this week.
That's a
go
big
Penn
one.
State, go Penn State, roar Lions, roar.
That's actually their fight song.
Yeah,
it's a fucking shitty fight song.
That's a fucking awesome fight song.
It sound that maybe it needs somebody that's better at singing karaoke to hear it.
Wow, wow. The Michigan Wolverines, my least favorite team in the Big Ten.
Oh, fuck that.
You already like this has nothing to do with you, Luke. You knew this is how I felt.
How do you hate them over Ohio State more?
Because I do, because it all has to do with college basketball. It has to do with college basketball. The Ed Harris, the cheating stuff, it transferred over to the football team. I never liked Michigan.
That's a shame.
I told you who my favorite Big Ten team is.
I know who your favorite Big Ten team is.
But but Michigan beat the piss out of Indiana 52-7 in probably the easiest fucking schedule in all of the top 5. Like Michigan has not played anybody yet.
Yeah, but to that point, they are kicking the living piss out of every team.
You're not wrong. Like you're not wrong. They're beating the teams they're supposed to by a lot. 30-3 over East Carolina, 35-7 over UNLV, 31-6 over Bowling Green, 31-7 over Rutgers, 45 against Nebraska, 52 against Michigan, 52 against Indiana, and now they got Michigan State coming in.
I want to point something else out to you and the listeners as well. As weak as Michigan's schedule is, and it includes their Big Ten conference play to this point, because the Big Ten has kind of sucked other than 3 teams, Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State. Have you seen Michigan's schedule for next year?
Yeah, it's intense.
Including non-conference game against Texas.
And like finally, like play someone that like I'm okay with that.
And then they also have Oregon, USC, I believe they have UCLA, then they will have Ohio State and Penn State. There's going to be other teams that are going to be improved in the Big Ten that they're going to have to play. Oh, man. It's going to be fun.
I'm telling you, Luke, I think Ann Arbor is the move next year.
Depending on my work schedule, that's 1-1 on my list for Oregon against Michigan next year, if I can make that game.
Yeah. And then number one, they haven't left the number one spot. It is the Georgia Bulldogs. They beat Vandy 37-20. I feel like they shouldn't have given up 20 points to Vandy.
Yeah, there's a reason why other teams are getting more first place votes and Georgia's getting less first place votes.
Yep. I would agree. I would agree. Brian says we're going. I wonder if Yump would be in on that. Okay. I know Yump's like not the biggest college football guy, but he's not against it. But that would be a fun road trip.
It'd be a fun road trip. So we got so Oregon goes to Michigan, they go to Wisconsin, and they go to Purdue next year. So between those three, I'm hoping my work schedule works out that I could get to at least one, if not more.
Let's go to Purdue.
Any of them, any of those three. If I could see Oregon on the road somewhere, that'd be a lot of fun.
Georgia has a bye week, and then the following week on the 28th is the world's largest outdoor cocktail party, Georgia, Florida, in Jacksonville. Go Bulldogs.
That's what it's called. Shankster and I were trying to figure out if it's like the world's largest outdoor tailgate, the world's largest outdoor party. It's the world's largest outdoor cocktail party.
Yes, sir.
In Jacksonville.
In Jacksonville. They played in Jacksonville.
Yep. That's always a fun one. So
one of my favorite games of the year, right? Like I don't have a horse in this race, but I don't mind Georgia.
Right.
But like it's just a cool thing, man. SEC football when CBS and like in the fall, like you just can't beat it. Like it just sounds amazing. Sure. So yeah, that game's October 28th. And that wraps up our AP top 25. Let's get into some Heisman talk. Luke, what do you got Heisman talk wise?
We mentioned all the other names from previous weeks. The name that we have not talked about nearly as much and that's gaining a lot of steam, the local kid, J.J. McCarthy.
J.J. McCarthy, yeah.
J.J. McCarthy, man. You want to get a good future play with some value on the Heisman, you get J.J. McCarthy at 10-1 right now, which is plus 1,000, depending on how you register that and process that with your math. Best player on what I think is the best team in the NCAA, who's just, I mean, he doesn't look like it on the numbers, but you look at Michigan's play and how they're just dominating every single week, and he's right there in the front of it. Like, Michael Penix is the Heisman favorite right now, but he doesn't have the Heisman wrapped up or won by any means. I think J.J. McCarthy is going to gain some more ground week by week. He's at plus 1,000 right now, but I think a week ago he was at plus 2,500 or plus 3,000. There's a reason why he's continuing to rise with value in the sports books. I think Vegas is kind of catching on to J.J. McCarthy. You want to get J.J. McCarthy, like Brian S. says, you can get J.J. at 1,200 right now on FanDuel. That is a prime candidate to go in and take the Heisman, winning the Big Ten and going to the college football playoff for a third consecutive year as a quarterback. He's going to go to New York and he might win it.
He might, and that's not a terrible pick. It's not a bad pick at all.
So that's what I got on the local LaGrange Park product, J.J. McCarthy.
I don't hate it at all. I think that's a good addition to our weekly talk. I think right now it's Michael Penix Jr.'s to lose. Like, just the things that he's done, the stats that he's put up. He's also really fun to watch. You know how, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm just gonna go on record. I love Jordan Travis and the things that he's done for Florida State. Michael Penix Jr. is a guy that wanted to be in Tallahassee, and Willie Taggart didn't offer
him. And then he ended up at Indiana.
Yeah.
He ended up at Indiana.
He did, and it hurts. It hurts. He's a good kid. I like him. I know he's Washington. I know he's not I know that's your rival, but it is what it is, right?
I mean, he's the favorite, obviously, right now at minus 125.
Yeah.
For a reason, after that big win. If Washington loses the game as they were planning on doing, as Oregon was planning on having them lose, we have a new guest.
Yeah. I don't think we've ever been privy to having Zoe on the show, or in the chat. Welcome, Zoe. Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, it's our guy. I mean, if Washington doesn't win that game, he's not the front runner at all to win the Heisman because he was not that impressive in the second half. He had the game-winning drive. He put up good numbers in the first half. I don't think he's going to win the Heisman. He's a favorite right now. I don't think he's going to win the Heisman. He's the favorite right now. He's the favorite. I don't think he's going to be the guy in December in New York raising that Heisman Trophy. I think it's going to be J.J. McCarthy.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know. He's good. He is good. And these numbers, Luke, these numbers are insane.
He's going to have some opportunities to really win the Heisman, but I don't think it's going to be this week. Who do they play again this week?
They have Arizona State this week.
Yeah, win.
Hold on. I want to look at this. Michael Penix Jr., 7 weeks at Muck, Michigan. I like Zoe. Zoe's great. He's got 2,300 yards, 20 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. These numbers are insane, Luke.
Just let the full season play out.
All right.
Just let the full season play out. They shouldn't have won.
That's all you got to say. That's all you got to say.
They should not have won, and because they won, he's a Heisman favorite over Bo Nix. If Oregon wins, now all of a sudden we're talking about how Bo Nix is the favorite to win the Heisman. And really, is he, though? No. If Oregon won, I don't think...
He might have been, because Caleb Williams had a bad game.
Yes.
And that stuff switches, dude.
As much as I love Bo, even if Oregon wins that game, if he's the odds-on favorite in Vegas, I think that's absurd.
All right. Let's move on to our games of the week and wrap this puppy up. Put a nice little bow on this. Top college games that we want you to watch this week. These are the best ones. We got 3 every week. Right off the bat, we go heavy hitters. The number 3 Ohio State Buckeyes and the number 7 Penn State Nittany Lions. Luke, is that in Columbus or is that in Happy Valley?
I'm going to check that right now. I believe it is in Columbus. It's in the Horseshoe.
Okay.
Last I saw, the odds were Penn State plus 4.5. Give me that all day.
All right.
I'm going to go I'm going to go Penn State money line. I'm reading Zoe's comment here about Keon Coleman.
It was such a weird post-game press conference with Dino about Keon Coleman.
Did he say that?
He did. He absolutely said that.
That's my guy, Dino. That's the former Eastern Illinois head coach, Dino Babers, who was the head coach when Jimmy Garoppolo was there.
All right. What do we got next? We got the ACC. We have Florida State. We have Duke in Tallahassee. Florida State's a 14-point favorite.
I mean, I'm not as excited for this game as I was hoping to be. If Riley Leonard's not playing, Florida State should roll them.
Yeah.
The total, I think, was in the mid to high 40s on the over-under. That's going to be an underplay. If it gets and tips into the 50s, I'm gonna go under. Duke's defense is still pretty good. Florida State has a very, very good defense. It's just going to be a big win by Florida State.
I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be a big win, but I don't know. The last couple weeks, Jordan Travis has got to chill. In the fourth quarter of games, so we'll see.
Okay, so that the total is 49.5 currently on DraftKings. That's an underplay. If I'm going to bet that game, I'm betting the under all day.
I'm going to take the over on that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to take the over on that. I say Jordan Travis has a big game. Johnny Wilson had a week to rest. You're not going to be able to cover Keon one-on-one because he's the best wide receiver in college football right now.
Oh, stop.
But yeah, so we have Florida State Duke, and we got one more game, Luke. We got one more game. We have Tennessee and Alabama.
Man.
This is just a mid-off. This is a mid-off right here.
It really is.
They're both, it's a top 25 matchup, but it's just 2 quarterbacks that are absolutely average. But it's the SEC, right? So people are pumped.
Alabama's going to win this game. I don't know the line right now without looking. I feel like if I had to guess, it's at Alabama. I would say Alabama minus 6.5. I don't know if anybody has a number on that off the top of their head. I'm just guessing.
Okay.
But neither of these teams are very good, but it's an SEC heavyweight matchup. And I tell you what, remember that game last year, Tennessee versus Alabama
I do.
in Knoxville? God, what? last
You know
week would
what,
have been a
Yump, do you want to come on next week and give us the breakdown of Illinois, Wisconsin? Because if you come on, we'll do it. I'll do that segment.
last week was not a bad week to fade me when I was on tilt after that Oregon loss. I don't like to bet on Oregon games, and I did not bet on the Oregon game. But then I was on tilt and hammered the absolute piss out of the under of UCLA and Oregon State, and it went way the fuck over UCLA, Oregon State. That was my pick of the week. And it got annihilated.
In
by
the
that
comments,
pick.
I don't care about the outcome of this game. I want to know what's better, Rocky Top or Dixieland Delight as the song tradition in this game. What's better, Rocky Top or Dixieland Delight? Let me know what you guys think.
I mean, that's an easy answer if you're asking me.
What do you got?
Rocky Top.
No, man, I'm going Dixieland Delight, dude. The way that the Alabama fans throw in fuck
Auburn,
fuck Auburn, and LSU and Tennessee too, like I love it.
I don't know, Rocky Top is just a much more upbeat, catchy tune, a lot more energy and enthusiasm and excitement.
That's because you like fucking jam bands, bro.
Rocky Top, Rocky Top. Da, 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 da. We need Joey P to sing Rocky Top next time we see him.
I love it. I love it.
Bama's going to win this game, though. I'm taking the I don't know the lines. I can't take anything if I don't know the lines for this game yet. It's going to be a fun one. SEC heavyweight. I think Bama's coming for blood after that upset loss last year that started the
blood. They can't fucking hit the bar like the blind side of a barn, bro.
They got the field stormed on them last year at Tennessee. They are in full on grudge match mode here, and Nick Saban is going to say, "Fuck this, we're not losing to Tennessee at home."
All right, well, that's our game of the week. Those are our games of the week, and that's our wrap up for this week. We'll be back next week, and our schedule might change a little bit when the college football rankings come out, who's going to be in it. But until then, I am your boy Svo. This is my boy Luke, and we'll see you next week, college football fans.
Go Ducks.
Deuces.